Let's get more on this. Joining us from Claremont in California is Miguel, Salas, a professor of Latin American Studies. He's also authored many books on Venezuela. Professor, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. Let's talk about some possible scenarios and what you foresee for the country. You have this new constituent assembly. They have the right to rewrite the country's constitution, as well as dissolve parliament. And if they pass a new constitution, will Maduro bring it to a referendum for the public's approval? What do you see happening?
Well, I think that we're at really a watershed moment in Venezuelan history. If the Constitutional Assembly is approved, if it is installed in 72 hours after the election, then we could see a dismantling of the traditional power structures in Venezuela. This is a real game changer in Venezuela. There's also an opportunity in those 72 hours before the assembly is installed to really try to reach out and achieve some level of negotiations that would try to attempt to resolve the political crisis in Venezuela. Venezuela faces serious economic, social, and political issues, and the Constitutional Assembly cannot function in isolation from that reality. Otherwise, we could see a dissolving of the traditional National Assembly, a dissolving of the Supreme Court, a dissolving of many of the institutions. Once the Constitutional Assembly is installed, it is the supra institution in the country that can absorb many functions. So we're really at a crossroads in Venezuelan political history.
Let's talk to how we got here. There's a very strong opposition against President Nicolas Maduro. His approval numbers are very low. What are some of the factors that have kept him in place for this long?
Well, he has about a 21% approval rating in Venezuela at this current moment, which surprises many international observers. But the reality is that there is a strong opposition, and there's still a base for Chavismo. We have to understand that the last 17, 18 years has produced very strong social movements and a popular protest that are also part of the reality in Venezuela. And what's missing is the ability to recognize the humanity of each other, the ability to recognize that these forces have to find some medium ground in order to be able to coexist. Protests indefinitely have not overthrown Maduro. That's pretty clear after 110 days and over 100 people killed. So the reality is there has to be some kind of middle ground, some level of negotiation. And we've seen some signs of that. But again, both sides are engaged in a process of political brinksmanship. And if we continue to radicalize this process, long-term issues such as the economy, inflation, unemployment will continue to worsen.
How do you see the international community reacting to what's going on in Venezuela? Or will that actually depend on what this new constituent assembly actually does after they're approved?
Well, the U.S. and many countries in South America have already, that are conservative, have condemned the National Assembly. I think they need to take a step back, allow processes such as the Union of South American Nations, allow former Prime Minister José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, allow others to try to push forward the process of negotiation and to try to find some sort of solution. Simply condemning Venezuela or trying to impose sanctions worsens the conditions within the country. Invariably, it will worsen the economic conditions, which are already dire for many Venezuelans with shortages in food and other basic essentials. So I think it's time to take a step back and try to push, again, a process of negotiation, of dialogue, where there can be some sort of mediation in this process rather than simply recrimination.